we are going to explain to you how the software Jitsi Meet works. Jitsi Meet is a video conferencing solution. It aims to provide a completely free video conferencing platform that is open source and community-based. The use cases range from quick chats between friends to embedded video calls in larger applications. Who uses Jitsi Meet? The user base ranges from small group meetings to conferences with hundreds of people. Jitsi Meet is used for meetings with friends, but also for business meetings where important security issues arise. So how do you use Jitsi Meet? There are several features. So we've just seen how you enter a meeting, which is where you set a password. And you can set the password in a meeting as a moderator with the field icon. Another important feature is the chat function. So here I will send a message, and then my friend Rembrandt will get a notification and he can chat something back to me. Then an important feature is the raise hand feature. If I want to say something, I can raise my hand and others can see that. And the last video that we'll showcase here, or the feature that we'll showcase here, is the embedded YouTube video, which you can do by entering a link, and a group can view a YouTube video together. I will stop this. Those are the most important features that we want to show to you. The Jitsi team doesn't really have a proper roadmap. They claim the platform evolves too quickly for keeping an up-to-date roadmap. However, there are plenty of features they plan for the future, such as dark team support and breakout rooms. In Jitsi Meet, it's possible to set a password. For some passwords that are very long, you can easily make spelling mistakes while typing. This is why for the first pull request we've made this eye icon. So if I type a password, this is a very long password, and I want to see what the password that I've typed is, I can click on this eye icon and I can easily correct it.
As an open source software, Jitsi can either be self-hosted, such as our own faculty does, which is deployed by the Jitsi team under the domain meet.jits.si. But otherwise, companies can also subscribe to Jitsi as a service, where the development team can host a customized Jitsi development deployment for you. The main components of the Jitsi architecture, which we looked at in SA2, are the following. First of all, we have Jitsi Meet, which contains the files for the web interface, as they are accessed via files served by a web server. Then we have the Jitsi Video Bridge. The video bridging service provided video streams to all participants, as well as the algorithm for video quality distribution. The video bridge is an intelligent relay server that tests available bandwidth for clients to determine which stream to relay, depending on what the client is watching, as well as whether or not to turn off certain streams due to bandwidth constraints. Next up, we have Gcofo, the Jitsi conference focus, which determines who is speaking. It runs server-side and is made up for opening connections between users and the video bridge. Furthermore, we have Jibri. Jibri is a collection of tools for recording and or streaming a Jitsi Meet conference that functions by launching a Chrome instance in a virtual frame buffer and capturing and encoding the output with FFmpeg. The Jitsi components interact with external servers. These are the most important ones. First of all, we have the SIP server, which allows users with slow internet connection to join over sound with mobile or landline phone connections. Next up, we have Gcasi, which is a connection between the video bridge, as we discussed earlier, and the SIP server. And finally, we have Prosody, which is an external free XMPP server serving as the base of the setup backend. These components can interact with the YouTube server to stream conferences and embed videos, and with Dropbox to transfer files over Jitsi. When we started with this implementation, we were triggered by an open issue that wanted code block highlighting in the chat. However, we quickly realized that there was no styling support apart from URL highlighting present at the moment. Therefore, after finding a still issue about Markdown support, we decided that it would be a good idea to implement that. For this live demo, we will now show you the functionality. You can now highlight your code blocks or make your text bold or italic by using the syntax of the commonly used Markdown markup language.
Automated quality process, Jitsi Meet has two systems in place. The first process is linting of code. Linting is the process of analyzing the code for potential bugs and code style issues. This is in place for the React front end of Jitsi Meet and helps to keep up the standard of the code. The second process is the continuous integration that is executed each time a pull request is submitted to the repository. This consists of multiple stages. The first stage is being a front-end build and checking for linting issues that may have arisen while programming. The second process is only executed when needed and runs the unit tests that are present for the backend. Once one of these stages fail, either due to the front end not being able to build or the linter giving errors, the CI test will fail. This means that the code cannot be merged until the issues are solved. Besides automated quality testing, the community of Jitsi enforces code reviews for each pull request that is submitted to the repository. Mostly, those pull requests that are submitted by the paid staff from Jitsi are reviewed and merged much quicker compared to pull requests that are submitted by a community member. We as a team have noticed that we had to remind the team members often to comment on our PRs. Since not many Dutch developers are active within the Jitsi Meet project, the Dutch language file was not very up to date. That's why we have decided to update the Dutch language file for the next pull request. All of the missing language strings were related to newly introduced Jitsi features and are all present in the language file right now.
Another pull request that we opened is a pull request for private messaging in the chat. When you have a busy, large conference and you want to send a private message to one of the other members, you can, within this feature, now do it by typing @ in the chat. And then if I type the name of Kilian, it will give me a pop-up asking me to send a private message to Kilian. And if I then say, hey Kilian, I can send it as a private message. And then when I go to one of my other members, Kilian has received the message and someone else has received nothing.
As Niels mentioned before, the developers were very enthusiastic about our idea of adding the architecture overview to their handbook. The handbook entry contains an overview of the components, as Niels explained before. The rest of the document consists of a code map explaining the most important folders of the project and their content, and the testing environment, consisting of beta test servers and the unit test suite called Jitsi Torture. To make sure the handbook entry would be useful to the project, we asked for several rounds of feedback, once in the bi-weekly community meeting, once as a forum post, and currently the open pull request. Most feedback is practical and about relatively minor details. In general, the team is very enthusiastic about our work, but we had hoped to get more feedback about the content of the document.